But I guess for us, the question is, well, how are we actually addressing this at a real root cause kind of level? We know that putting juveniles in detention typically doesn't give us the best results. It's incredibly expensive for one. It's over $500,000 to keep a young person in juvenile detention for 12 months. But I mean, these are young people who don't just wake up one morning and decide that they want to steal a car or break into a house. It's a really disadvantaged through all kinds of traumas in their life, growing up in domestic violence and experiencing sexual abuse and that sort of thing growing up. And what we also know is putting young people through treatment instead, one, comes in at a fraction of the cost, but whereas there's a 74% chance that a young person going into detention will actually reoffend in the 12 months following that. Putting them through treatment, what we actually see is a 62% reduction in crime, both violent crime and non-violent crime. We also see significant reductions in drug and alcohol use, in problematic mental health, suicidal thinking. We see increases in engagement with school and work, increases in family relationships, overall quality of life. So it's these sort of programs that we run at the Ted Noffs Foundation that actually seek to address all the root causes behind the offending. We're not just looking at the crime, we're looking at the whole picture.
And I know that you're bringing out a podcast as well, which is talking about a whole lot of different issues. Can you tell us about some of those podcasts?
Yeah, so these podcasts, they're really exciting, actually. So we've been able to partner with the company Unilever, and we've worked with Michelle Laurie there. And they're really aimed at parents. In the thousands of parents and families that I've worked with, throughout my career at the Ted Noffs Foundation, two things always seem to jump out at me. Number one, parents are incredibly time poor. And two, that they worry. I mean, I'm a psychologist. I understand the theory behind these things. I'm also a parent. And sometimes I look at my kids and all that rationality just goes out the window. And I worry. I worry about what's around the corner for my kids. And so this podcast really is targeted at parents. And it's trying to offer parents a resource whereby they can get accurate, measured information about a variety of issues, including what to do about drugs and alcohol and if my kids come into contact with it and that sort of thing. But in a brief package, in a podcast form, so the parents can actually absorb this information while they're driving or while they're going for a walk or while they're preparing dinner, for example. And it's really exciting because we're constantly coming out with new material as well.
And what are we seeing in terms of, people taking drugs and rehabilitation? Are we seeing those levels drop across the country?
So I think what's really, really important for parents to know is that, yes, drugs are out there. No one can guarantee that there's any sort of certainty that your child won't come into contact, won't try different things. But it's also really important for parents to be armed with the most accurate information. But yes, a lot of young people do experiment with things at some point over their life. Most will not go on to develop really, really serious problems, which is something that's really hard for parents to sort of, with everything that we see, with, everything from sort of vaping to drinking to, drugs like ice, it's really hard to know, like, how much of it is out there. How many times does my child have to come in contact with it, before they become a zombie and completely addicted and that sort of thing. And it is really important for parents to know that whilst most young people, even if they do experiment, will be fine and they'll sort of come out the other end. Some don't, and that's where we come in with programs like what we offer at the Ted Noffs Foundation.
So, what are some tips if perhaps parents are wanting to have that conversation with their child, whether they know that they've taken drugs, whether they think they are? What are some of your tips?
Well, there's some key things that parents can do. Being armed with the most accurate information is really, really important. We want to really meet in the middle with teenagers. what I find working with families is that there's often a huge gap between maybe a parent on this side that's trying to say, look, you touch drugs even once and you're going to get hooked. It's a slippery slope sort of thing. And then you've got teenagers on the other side who might have actually tried things once or twice and those fears haven't become realised and that stuff hasn't happened. So being armed with the most accurate information is really important. It's such an emotive topic. So, just to tell parents, look, just stay calm, just chill out, have a conversation. It's almost impossible when it comes to your own kids. And so having that accurate information is really important just to help parents stay grounded and stay as calm as possible. And then having the lines of communication open with your teenager is so important. Creating a space where teenagers will actually feel comfortable coming and talking about this stuff. Every family, every household has sort of different rules. So I never sort of tell parents, look, here's what you do, here's the exact rules for your house. I get some parents who say, look, I've got younger siblings at home, so I just can't have drug use in the house. Then I work with parents who sort of come from that school of thought as well. Maybe I should let them do it at home because at least I know that they're safe while they're doing that. So there's no sort of right or wrong answer in that. The key is communication and actually being prepared for conversation with a teenager. Teenagers, they'll typically throw the shutters up if they think that the only thing that they're going to get out of this is a lecture. And so being prepared for that conversation, being prepared to hold the boundaries for the household as well, of course, and really being informed accurately so that we're not just relying on hysteria or worry or anything like that, just to try and pull a bit of that fear away and replace it with a little bit of sort of calmness and empathy and compassion.